Welcome back to Stealth Doesn't Matter. Let's take a look at our collectible, the Eyes of a Spider.
Pedro, you stole my life mantra's catchphrase. How dare you?
Alright, I thought your mantra would be like, fuck stealth.
Yeah, but that's what I use when I can't swear.
Okay, I don't know if we mentioned this in the first part, but I find it interesting how the voice section in the audio is actually labeled as speech language.
I guess.
I mean, it's a synonymous, sure. It's just a interesting way of phrasing it.
Yeah. Okay, so alright, so we're back.
Back again.
Again, that whole kill or panic option was completely pointless as far as I can see.
I probably should look up in between parts.
Granted, maybe that was a different orc we were looking at during that cutscene, and man, it feels like I am stretching even with
These
that.
are not the hobbits you're looking for.
I just don't get it. I don't think making a good game about Gollum was hard. How did you screw this up?
Simple.
Okay.
Daedalic made a game that was way too ambitious for their experience and their budget. They should have instead focused on making a game that was a point-and-click adventure game, something that actually they have expertise in, and make it a more indie budget type of game. Thing is, the Nacon, the publisher, apparently really wanted this game to be, something that would be more appealing to the masses, probably. So Daedalic was put on this thing where they had to make something that's much more mainstream in terms of its concepts.
Also influenced from the Tolkien estate.
I honestly do question Nacon's idea that, hey, we have Daedalic, one of, okay, maybe not the most well-known company, but as far as I know, they do have a following definitely in Europe. The thing is, though, they had never made this type of game before. It would be like hiring even Naughty Dog at their best to, hey, do a tactical RPG. I know that you're used to doing platformers or third-person action games, but Naughty Dog, make us a JRPG.
I mean, it is important to remember that there are cases of this succeeding, like Guerrilla Games before making Horizon Zero Dawn only made first-person shooters. And they succeeded in transitioning from...
Also, Averrotion, before doing the medieval remake, was mostly doing either bad ports or Yu-Gi-Oh games.
There's also Azobo Studio, who once upon a time made PSP, that is the tiny, not even the main versions of these tiny games, the PSP, PS2 second-rate versions of these tie-in games.
These are usually the worst.
Yeah. So and now they're famous for making the Plague Tale series, and now they're the current developer employed by Microsoft to work on the Microsoft Flight Simulator series. So developers can indeed transition from a smaller background to a bigger, more mainstream background. It just depends on how good the management is at handling it and how capable the developers are at it. And I get the feeling Daedalic tried to bite way more than they could chew.
To give Daedalic credit, as far as I've been able to tell, Nacon foisted this off onto them. That being said, Daedalic still should have done better. Here's one thing I will say, though. Surely Nacon at some point must have realized, okay, development is not shaping up well. Like, unless Daedalic lied to their faces saying, oh no, this is going great, thumbs up and everything, I feel like Nacon should have noticed that there was trouble in paradise and maybe, move things back a bit, pull Daedalic off the project, and give it to someone else. Because yes, I'll agree, it is possible that a company can change, adapt. Sometimes, when somebody finally gets their big break, it is a newcomer. It may seem weird that their first project is like this big thing, but it is possible to get a success story. That said, it does also need to be noted the obvious risks that can come with that, as we've been seeing in both the games and films industries, with giving relatively new people this to that. Sometimes only because, hey, that's a recognizable name. They'll surely win us an Oscar and all that jazz.
Yeah, this is something that's been happening for a long time. Like,
Shit.
yeah. Back when Level 5 first started, they partnered up with Sony specifically because, Hino and his team at the time were completely inexperienced and only worked on, like, lower roles, like designer, sound. Like, Nishiura had only worked on sound design before he worked on Dark Cloud, so he hadn't actually composed anything for a game yet at that point in time. So they made a deal with Sony because that way Japan's studio could help them, teach them the ropes, all that good stuff, right? And that's why the first Dark Cloud feels like the least Level 5 game ever, because there's barely a story. The characters are mostly just there to serve as avatars for the player. It feels very un-Level 5-ish because Level 5 to that game were very, very under constraints because you're the newcomers. We can't just let you do whatever you want. You're gonna have to do this, but you're gonna have to do this on our terms. So. But then, of course, when you get to Dark Cloud 2 / Dark Chronicle and Rogue Galaxy, actually had the liberty to actually properly write a story for those games. So you can tell.
Yeah, and I can tell that at least I can speak mostly just for Rogue Galaxy, but I can tell you that a lot of the plot beats that we see in stuff like later in Yokai Watch are present there, like the beef about this creature that turns out to be a tragic backstory.
Like, for example, the main character of Dark Chronicle 2 has a dead mom. There you go. There's a typical Hino trope right there.
But does he have a dead cat?
Not a dead cat.
I know we're just milking this joke to eternity, but that was too obvious.
No, by all means. Shiroi will continue to milk that joke because she's still bitter about it, so...
But yeah,
No, see, the reason Shiroi is bitter about it is because she can't hit on it because it's every time he does it well, so Shiroi wants to hit on him for it, but she can't. That's what makes her so bitter about it. Go on, Joe.
But yeah, to bring this back to Daedalic, yes, I acknowledge that in the ideal timeline, Daedalic would have adapted well to this genre. But I really do have to wonder, what was the reasoning of even giving this to Daedalic? Like, did Daedalic ask for this? Like, okay, now...
it might have been a thing of that the Tolkien estate chose something. Remember, with German company, so it's easier to... My big question is that, again, regardless of what has been happening in recent times, at the time this game was announced, the Embracer Group was going really strong in acquiring teams and actually reviving old IPs that they had acquired. They provided a successful team also for licensed games. So I don't understand why the Tolkien estate did not actually ask them to do something about this. Which, at the end of the day, that's kind of what happened, because the Tolkien Estate New Deal went full circle, and now the Embracer Group basically has the rights to that. They just basically said that if Warner Bros. Wants to do anything, they can.
Did they not like the Embracer Group, and this was their way of rebelling against them?
I cannot tell. Especially because at the time, Daedalic was just there. Nothing... It's not like a case where they were in a bad spot, but nothing like they were standing out particularly. They were just existing,
Yeah.
So there must have been a specific... Maybe the person from the Tolkien estate who chose them, genuinely liked them. Maybe that's because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like, this game, even in its existence, boggles the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, in case you didn't recognize that from the dialogue, Reshnag told us that things got flopped a bit, so we need to find another way to actually rendezvous with him.
Alright. Let's do that.
Eventually
that
we'll
ends?
get all these godforsaken. Again, it really feels like, okay, to be fair, it's been ages since I saw Dead Reviews. Is one of these oldest, but it really feels like that. Oh Jesus!
Fuck was that?
Oh god!
It feels like that
Gollum
game.
learned how to teleport.
That game adaptation of The Great Escape that Kadikros reviewed a long time ago.
Oh wait, somebody made a game adaptation off of that?
Yeah, and it's from what the glimpses that I remember is basically what you can imagine. It's basically a stealth-like game where you have to, roll around in the camp, trying to, rally up the people involved, and eventually, obviously, escape yourself. again, from what I remember, the Chicken Run video game adaptation does this concept much better anyway. So
So stick with Chicken Run. Got it.
Yeah, basically. I actually recently saw the new Chicken Run movie. It's really good. So.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Like, I always,
Oh no, Aardman never disappoints me. So that's not really a surprise to me. Like, I knew going in that it was going to be a good movie, and that's exactly what I got.
As someone who's a big fan of a Chicken Run movie, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the sequel.
I actually think it's even better than the first one. The first one is good, don't get me wrong. It's just that this one I feel like does such a good job in doing with the story, and the humor is just so much fun. It's from the same guy who directed Paranorman, which is another brilliant stop motion animation movie.
He's
So
a farmer now.
well, what happened was he's a Brit, but he was working at Leica, right? And somewhere along the lines, Aardman convinced him to come back to England to work on a movie, and there's Chicken Run 2.
From one stop motion company to another.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Aardman, can we also get a sequel to your Pirates movie?
That's the thing, Joe. Man, I don't know if you know about the news, but they're kind of in a bit of a trouble right now because the places that refurnish them with the specific clay they use,
got burned.
They run out.
Oh,
and they
crap,
don't really
they're
have an
out of clay.
alternative right now.
So basically,
I guess
right
it
now,
makes it really
Aardman is kind of like trying to figure out what to do now.
An Aardman without clay is like a KFC without chicken.
And from what I heard, it's a very specific type of clay. They cannot just, willy-nilly go to someone else. I guess it needs to be chosen specifically.
It just reminded me of that time, Joe, where KFCs round here had no chicken.
I wonder if that's what I was...
What's the point?
What, like, if
it's literally in the name.
Why are you even open then?
Oh no, I think most of them shut for a bit until the chicken got replenished.
It's like if you have a Domino, but you don't have actually pizza in it.
It would appear that the UK underestimated how much people might want chicken from KFC, so they didn't have enough. Oops.
Although it's funny you mentioned that, Tio. Recently, Domino's here in the UK have started offering wraps.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. But yeah, no, I mean, okay, it happens occasionally, but we've never had it happen nationwide simultaneously like it happened in the UK. That was insane.
But basically the point, Drove, is to go back to all of this. Again, right. I think it was just a combination of, bad decisions that led one to another, and the overestimation of the parties involved.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, a lightning in a bottle experience, except it's for a bad situation instead of a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is what it is. One of the most infamous games of 2023, of which there were...
Again, Joe, think about it. It's kind of what I mentioned in Haze. The devs were perfectly competent in the PS2, GameCube, Xbox era with time splitters perfectly, but then they got contracted into the HD era, which already they were having already some troubles in it, and then got screwed over by Ubisoft despite everything. So it was mostly a matter of unfortunate circumstances.
I won't act like...
I actually have to talk about this. So at this point in the playthrough, I'm kind of at a loss of where to go, right? So I decide, okay, so where am I supposed to go now? So I decide to try jumping here on this rope, and it's just like, okay.
Because it's good.
I
guess it's just that I feel like this rope, because there's so many spots.
Pedro, it's the one from Frozen 2010. It's razor sharp.
I guess. See, because there's a lot of level geometry in this game that doesn't work as a platform, and if I try to go in there, either the game kills me or Gollum just slips and falls, right? So it's one of those things... I
do get what you mean.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, if that spot that I was just in with the helmet doesn't lead to anywhere, not even a collectible, why is that path even there? Like, Seriously.
I do get what you mean. Like, I feel like past parts in this game have trained you to think that if you tried to get on those ropes, you would tilt and fall over because that's how physics in the game tended to work. So, I think this might be the first time we've been able to walk on something with that shape and texture without falling off.
So
over the
basically-
It has to do with the fact that I could climb up, it leads me to a dead end. I could go through the other path to the right, it leads me to a dead end. Okay, where to then? Like, why even bother having these paths here if they lead nowhere?
Basically, in AVGN terms, it's a where the fuck do I go game.
Yeah,
Like, this really reeks of a game where,
designed
okay,
to fuck with you.
I guess.
you know what this reminds me of? The worst levels in Mario Maker, where the thing is, of course, the person who made the level knows exactly how to do it, but you, the player, most likely do not.
Yeah, that actually...
To be fair, in those specific cases, specifically Mario Maker, they are designed with the sole intent of you having to figure that out. That's the entire point. You know?
True. Although, to Mario Maker's credit, yes, therein lies a puzzle element, and even still, the rules tend to be more coherent there. Again, except for those dickish levels where, you have to find this very specific switch.
And
here,
remember, each of the levels have to be actually play tested by the makers. If they cannot beat them, they cannot be published online. You know.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, the fact that I'm comparing the worst Mario Maker has to offer to this game should show the level of concern here, because this feels like, yes, for the person who made this level, it must have worked just fine, but for the typical player, it won't.
Daylight smells nice.
Does it?
Okay then.
Anyway.
To know?
No, but that sounds back to one point that I was going to make in the previous part. Actually, that this is a problem that I encounter in games that I play all the time, even good games, where developers, for whatever reason, seem to forget that the person who's going to, that the audience who's going to be playing their game did not participate in the development, and therefore they need things to be conveyed to them. You know, like even games that I outright love, like Ghost of Tsushima, for example. Those bits where I have to pixel hunt for a specific object the game wants me to get, but the game doesn't tell me where the object is, so it's basically just a randomly search the little area until I find what exactly is the game wanting me to click on. Like, it's one of those things where, like, sometimes developers seem to fail to realize that the audience didn't participate in the development. You need to convey things to them in some fashion. You can't just ask the audience to pixel hunt randomly. That's not fun.
Let me guess, he thinks it's sun, but it's something else out there.
There you go.
Okay, can we finally be done with this stupid prison area?
Yes, we are officially out, Jova. Rejoice.
Whew.
And now we're gonna go.
Fair,
And now we're gonna go to an area that's more colorful, but just as boring.
Hooray.
Please tell me, is it like so similar looking that we might as well still be in the prison?
Also,
area?
cart just
Wait,
now,
what?
that there's holes in the texture of that cart, by the way.
Wait. So he just left us.
Well,
No. The idea is that we're going to meet later. Like, we're going
remember
to.
the plan, Jova. We need a cart, meaning that, as Gollum himself said, we need to find another one. Technically speaking, we're like that close to be out, but we just need that extra small step.
Hey, question, who wrapped all the red string around those walls? Like, I get that that's a good marker for us on where we can climb, but
See, again,
in-universe, what's the point?
connected to what Pedro just said, I think we're reaching a polar opposite in terms of paradigm towards that, because we're reaching a point where things are either not conveyed at all, meaning pixel hunt, or the way they are actually conveyed potentially borders into ridiculousness. For example, all the fucking yellow painted things in Resident Evil 4 Remake, for example.
Oh, sure.
Sure, I get some things that would be useful, but when you even paint the fucking ramps at the very end of a game, come on.
That is true,
Like,
but I will argue that that's still the lesser of the two evils. Because at least because at least that way I can complete the game fine, at least with that particular evil.
That being said, Tio just raised a good point, though. There is no in between with this game.
Like
Yeah.
as an
It's
option for people who necessitate that, sure, but not only. Again, that's not even taking into account of that maybe might be the fault, but that they're just always there. That's basically the game telling me you don't have to think. And honestly, I rather will take the choice myself. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I do agree that there should at the very least be a choice in that regard. Or, again, if you are going to give hints, the best way, and I know it's not always going to be the case, but the best way is to have it be that they're intuitive. Not obvious, but intuitive. Think like Ace Attorney when they do give you hints, essentially. Like, even in the newer games where, the hints do narrow down stuff, it still is more like giving you an overall window of the idea rather than essentially just saying, hey, go here, dipshit.
Basically. One thing that I really like, in particular, is the hint system, the optional hint system in Marvel Spider-Man 2, where basically if you take too long figuring something out, the game will basically either give you a hint, or if you really get too stuck, sometimes will flat out tell you. That being said, you can turn that system off if you want.
At the very least, the way you described it, at least the game takes with time. One of the things that people didn't notice about God of War Ragnarok is that possibly out of, potentially coding, sometimes the characters do mention the solution even before the puzzle starts.
Yeah, that's a bit of an oof.
Alright, let me see.
I know we're outside, but we're still in this prison area.
So close yet so far.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. Fortunately, all of the orcs in Middle Earth are brain damaged and and cannot understand how to search bushes, so we're fine. Fortunately, this particular one, on the other hand, touched me. That's the thing. He didn't actually see me. He just see the way the game is programmed, Joe, is that if one of the orcs touches me, it catches me. So it's not that he saw me; he just bumped into me. He got lucky, basically.
I just don't get it. Like, I look, it's not even just that they made it bad, but it feels almost like they went out of their way to make it so dull and lifeless. And I know that wasn't the intent, but God, nothing in this game has really felt fulfilling, endearing, or anything.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you want to make a Gollum game, and you want to quote unquote tell the untold story of what was Gollum doing during this particular period. Okay, question: do you have any actual good ideas for what you're going to tell with this? And
because like I said, otherwise this just gives a bad reputation to the idea of making a story out of anything.
Well, it's a good idea. This game ends at some point.
Wow.
So far the only question that this story is answered is why was Gollum's story untold? And I guess now we know why.
Because it's boring as shit.
To tell.
You see, guys, Tolkien tried his hardest to keep this story from coming to life because he knew it was boring as shit. But now that he's gone, the people who just want to milk this franchise for all it's worth, fuck it. We'll go ahead and tell it anyway.
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna lie, this reeks of cash grab. Again, I'm not assuming
except there wasn't even too much of a commitment, and I don't mean about necessarily the devs part.
True, yeah, like, the advertising of this game, like, I recall there was word of it, but aside from the introductory, from the first show we saw of it.
Apologies if we sound cynical, because trust me, I'm having a point with this. We mentioned, the recent Spider-Man games, again, as cynical as it sounds, at the end of the day, they still work. They are intended as cash grab because the brand name of Spider-Man is successful. The major difference is that they managed to, make sure that the product is still enjoyable, and telling a good story to boot.
Here's the deal with Gollum. Gollum is definitely one of the most well-known Lord of the Rings characters. Like, make no mistake. That being said, it's still Gollum.
Yeah.
I can get why the idea of a video game around him might come off as a tough sell. Like, how to put this into perspective?
Not really. I can imagine plenty of ways you could make a Gollum game. Like a stealth game, a point-and-click game. There's so many things you can do.
Again, Joel, I can imagine you're just being conditioned by the quality of this product to make you think
No.
it's not possible.
No. Let me elaborate. I do get the potential of a Gollum game in that regard.
Oh, Joel, I need to mention
I'm
this.
not-
Why can't I strangle this guy?
Does he
The
have a helmet on?
does he?
Because he has no neck, from the looks of it.
He's too British.
It didn't look like a. It didn't look like. It didn't look like a. It looked more like a hat with spikes or whatever that thing was. Go on.
Weird, but anyway, no, like, look, I personally do get the potential of a Gollum video game, but what I'm referring to is, like, how the average gamer might feel, especially since Lord of the Rings games were known more so for their action or tactical warfare, essentially. Not to say all Lord of the Rings games were like that, but the best-known ones and consequently the best-selling ones were.
No,
so,
but you have a point. Vast majority have been basically either hack and slashes or RTSs.
So again, I'm not saying it couldn't have worked, but one of the reasons that they needed to market this game better was that, again, a Gollum game was going to be a tougher sell than, well, okay, Shadow of War, in contrast,
Oh, this bit here.
stars a completely original character. But the thing is, Gollum, what are you?
Yeah, this is actually one point that I remember all of the people who played this game online who got frustrated upon.
That's because allow me to explain why too. See, the thing is, the idea is that you're supposed to drop on one of these cards, and now you're supposed to dodge all those bits here and there. Thing is, you have to take into account a lot of stuff, and sometimes
For example, the stamina.
yeah. Hold on, there you go.
Shouldn't it just be easy to, like, plop into one of those?
Yeah,
pots
you'd
and,
think, right, Jova? But no, that would make sense. So we can't have that.
Now Gollum's floating
Oh,
over
okay.
it.
Okay, so that was me trying to maybe crouch. No, what you're supposed to do, Jova, you're supposed to hang from one of the sides of the cart.
Yeah, it's a classic vehicle section where you have to alternate between standing on top and grabbing the ledge.
Devs, if that's the case and you wanted to convey that, why did you put giant open pots
I agree.
that Gollum looks like he can easily fit into?
Yeah, this would.
Like, look at that.
Why the hell can I just put myself into those pots? I have no fucking clue.
Like, hey, here's an idea.
the fuck?
Don't have roof.
I swear, I pressed X to climb up like I've done so many times, and he decided to jump this one time for some reason. Game, can you please?
Whee!
Game, can you please have your controls be consistent?
Do the Gollum, now you're dead.
Okay, Daedalic, I know that this may have been your first time doing this sort of game, but no, I'm sorry. Even amateurs would be telling you off not to do this sort of thing. Like, okay, I have to wonder, were they originally planning to allow you to do that, but they... God, the way that works is stupid, but were they originally planning to have it be that you could go into the pot, but didn't have time to program that in? Like, again, in that case, patch out the pots. Like, you could easily fix this by just putting a roof texture over them.
Exactly? Why are those pots even there? If like it just makes things confusing.
Yeah, they could have just put it in boxes instead.
Exactly. You could have just had a straight roof and nothing else, and that's it. That would have been fine. Nobody would have complained about that. It just but no, they went out of their way. Someone went out of their way to tell the artists, make sure there's 2 open giant pots in the cart. For what purpose? I have no clue. I'm feeling random today. Like
gameplay-wise, I get it. It would pretty much make this whole section a joke, but again,
this is literally
don't add the pods.
This is literally the Uwe Boll thing, where he has to tell the CGI artist, make sure the bullet passes over her, even though she's supposed to be killed by the bullet. You know, like this is literally the they have to go out of their way to make this weird and stupid.
Oh, Pedro, actually it gets better. It's great because Linkara recently addressed this in his latest top 10 mistakes vid, this time for 2023. Yeah. He actually looked back at that review. Turns out it is a very, very, very blink and you'll miss it shot, but there actually is a digital shot of the bullet actually hitting the person.
The problem with that, Jova, and to extend Pedro, is that it's a single frame, so pardon me, it's not very noticeable even if you have a keen eye.
Yeah.
And again, like Linkara recapped, it was digitally done, so either Uwabo specifically told it to be done, or somebody was just doing that to see if they could get away with it. Wait, what? That killed you? What?
I don't even understand this game anymore.
The idea is that you need to, once you're actually on top of a vehicle, you're supposed to go. So at the moment you drop or your gun out of momentum, you're basically just murdered on the spot.
Oh. There you go. Fucking hell.
This game just keeps on giving in the worst.
All right, so now you have to go into this here so that they won't see you. So they won't shoot you with their arrows.
On concept, it's not too much it's actually not that bad, you know. Again, standing on top and
so jump over this. There you go.
Yeah, on the side in order to wait to either avoid a specific enemy or to get on our specific ledge.
I think I think you can sum up most of this game as, it should work in concept, but in execution it's atrocious. So even some of the most basic things to do in a game are messed up. And that killed you. Like
Whoa, what happened with the music?
I have no fucking clue. Like
I just game, come on. Like, this game feels like the type that anytime you dare think you're having fun, the game's like, oh, sorry, we can't have that, bucko.
So yeah, make sure you don't land on the wood boards because, Alright, now...
Gollum's allergic to that specifically,
okay, so I guess I'll just fuck all.
I think you're supposed to hang from the back.
No, they can still see you if you go there. I'm pretty sure they can.
Again, Jova, I noticed that there are orc archers on both sides on that.
Yeah, there are both sides, and even if we go to the back, they can still see us when the back of the bank crosses through them. So what am I supposed to do there?
You're noticing from the ledges you can only grab onto the sides and not to the back.
No, I think you can grab onto the back tail, but like I said, that wouldn't help either because they still would be able to see you. So I guess they're just supposed to. Oh, never mind.
See, like you said, you cannot hang from the back.
No, well, I can transition from the side to the back, but I'm pretty sure I can grab to the back. Like if I'm on the back. Let me see. Maybe I do it. Let me see. Hold on. Maybe I do it. It's been a while since I recorded this, so I don't remember if I do it or not.
This does harken back to the issue that it's not always clear what you can.
All right, let me see. I think I'm gonna maybe try and do it now.
Oh no, I think you're supposed to jump.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's it. See, okay. Now I can remember what was going on. See, I didn't even notice that at first. To be honest with you, because like I'm in the middle of this sequence and I'm focused on the road. Excuse me if I'm not looking up to see if there's maybe a ledge I can grab onto, you know? Like
I love how the music is welling almost triumphantly because this is Gollum's big escape, but it's paced so horribly.
Yeah. Oh my god. See, the thing is, I'm on the road. Okay, I was under the impression that the idea is we were going to break through the road and, escape or some shit. Like, but no, turns out...
We gotta pad this out even more.
Turns out, no, you're supposed to pay attention to the fucking ceiling because there's going to be a ledge that you can grab. And I'm like, okay, I don't know, like, I feel like for a sequence like that, I really...
It's too disjointed, admittedly, yes.
It felt like the idea was to ride the cart to the end. That's usually how these set pieces work.
No,
not this time, apparently.
Now I know a defender might say, "Oh, well, it was clearly marked," and yes, it was marked. But the problem is that the game has been pretty much training you to focus on the cart stuff.
Jova.
What?
We're out.
Oh, wow. We're finally out!
I'm gonna go like with Val Kilmer at the end of Red Planet. Fuck this prison.
Not just that, but like we're now out and we're halfway through the game.
Woo! We're out! So, what now?
Yeah, the game only has 10 chapters, by the way. This is a very short game.
Ooh, Mount Doom. You see that place, Gollum? That's where you'll die.
Yay!
This is the...
So
so it's
we're
like in
finally out of
last...
the prison.
I also love
Oh, so it's
how-
like in Last Battle. This is the place where I die. Farewell, Arzak.
So, back in the present with Gandalf interrogating him.
Never. He was our friend. Cruel light.
You know,
That's our eyes.
I'm guessing Gandalf didn't really get anything important out of this, seeing as how he never brings this up in the main
Eagle.
time. Like, sure, he knows about Gollum, although we can just infer he learned about him in The Hobbit anyway.
Birthday present. It was.
Another lie.
Old man must be careful. We have friends now. Strong friends, powerful friends. And they will not be nice like us. Not nice.
have not traveled these many
Oh.
miles to listen to
Yeah, this Gandalf is more akin to the one of Ralph Bakshi, so a bit more grumpy.
No, no cruel spirit.
Bit
It
more
hurts
grumpy.
us. Ah. We didn't kill him, my precious. He was our friend. It wasn't us, precious, not us. Oh no.
Okay, I'll admit, I forgot what Gandalf was interrogating him about, so I assume
Framing
it's
the
some
device, he just
murder.
wants to know what the fuck has Gollum been doing. Which, to be fair, it's something that does happen in the book. This is ultimately
Chapter
also
6. The Spider.
But is it giant and mechanical?
Or is it played by Gary Oldman?
God.
Or is he controlled by Kenneth Branagh?
But the thing is that Jova, again, this is the movies made it imply that Gandalf discovered the fact that Frodo had the one and Bilbo had the One Ring, the archives of Minas Tirith. But it ultimately, by interrogating Gollum, that he does that. So again, to be fair, the game is doing his own work there.
The Lord of the Rings. Watch as Gollum draws the ring on a stone.
And yeah, the bird that he trained had the Candleman is back, so that's our next objective.
All right,
Curious, like, do we ever run into Greshnak again?
Also-
like, again, he just...
Also, new objective: follow the bird. What? We're following Big Bird now? Like,
Yes.
that would be funny. Like, what would happen if Big Bird and Gollum met in the street? Like,
Alright, yeah.
see ya.
But,
Yeah.